go time.
The boys are back. That's right, Florida Man Sports is here with another exciting episode. So just sit back, relax, and enjoy the ride. This is Florida Man Sports.
Ladies and gentlemen, Florida Man Sports is back.
Yes, sir.
First and foremost, my friends, Hurricane Milton is upon us. So please, we're aware, be safe, you and your families. We definitely believe the power of prayer here at Florida Man Sports. So please be safe. And if you haven't already done so, take some shelter. Any thoughts on that, Johnny?
Yeah. How can a hurricane be so menacing with a name like Milton?
If you have... Listen, we're going to keep rolling. We're recording. It's the hurricane. You know, we're taking the risks here, Johnny. But we're going to start here with Major League Baseball, where unless you're under a rock, man, this is the best time in baseball. As of yesterday, Johnny Cinco, we're going to talk about each division and pick a division winner. We're going to start with the Phillies and the Mets, where the amazing Mets, they're leading 2-1. Who do you got winning the series?
Well, let me start by saying that I hate the Mets. So I don't like to have to go ahead and say anything positive about this team. I get annoyed about you calling them the amazing Mets.
They are.
But
you remember when they won the World Series? The amazing Mets.
The Mets have been the most clutch team in baseball since the end of the regular season. Obviously going into playoffs, they're just on point. Even the game that they lost, they went ahead and came back and tied it at the end, and going to extras. And it's just a great series. Every game is on point. It's fun. The Phillies, just the bats, what's going on? The bats, Harper hasn't really been there. Schwarber, he has a home run, hasn't really been there. In general, they're lacking. The pitching has been off for the Phillies. I think this layoff that every, the division winner or every number 1 or 2 seed that has hurt them. American League, National League, it's hurt them, and it's hurting the Phillies right now. The Mets, I can't stand that I have to say this, but it looks like the Mets are going to actually win this in 4. I don't see this going 5 games.
Shout out to my family in New York. You know who you are. Got nothing but love for the Mets.
Yeah, but if you're a Yankee fan, you're not a Mets fan. So if you,
I said I got family in New York that are Mets fans.
That's fine. You better stick to Mets fans. I can't stand coming across people who say that I'm a Mets or a Yankees over winning. You guys aren't real baseball fans.
Look at history. The Mets, they lose wild card games if you look at the history most recent. But when they get past the wild card, Johnny, they always get to the NLCS or the World Series. The Mets are going to win at home and win this series, wrap it up. Mets win, baby. They're going to win in Citi Field.
Yeah, they are. So you're stuck. So your National League pick is gone, Chris.
You got. Why do you have to hit me? The show just started. I'm
saying
the show just started.
It's gone.
Talking about teams that are going to be gone, Johnny. The Dodgers and Padres. Your Dodgers to win the World Series. They're down 2-1. Who's winning this series?
Man, the Padres are looking like the team that they had hoped that they had when they had the combination of Manny Machado, of Tatis, and of course Soto. They went and traded Soto away to the Yankees, but they had hoped to have this type of team, and they get their runs in bunches. Yesterday they won a game winning 6 runs in the second inning. That's all they needed. They won 6-5. They scored 3 runs in the 8th, 3 runs in the 9th in the game before where they dominated. It's just the Padres are looking tough, but I have to believe that somehow the Dodgers are going to pull this off. The glaring weakness with the Dodgers is clearly Mookie Betts. Mookie Betts, who has not had a single hit. Zero. Hasn't done anything. He's done just as much as if they pinch hit you or I for Mookie Betts, we would have the same amount of hits. Actually, I'll probably get a couple hits because I'm a baller. But still, Mookie Betts, 0 donut. Freddie Freeman has he's one of the best players on this team, and he aggravated the injury yesterday. So I don't know if he's going to be back in the rest of the series, but losing 2 out of your 3 best players is going to hurt you. The pitching hasn't been what we expected, but that's a lot of pressure on Ohtani. Ohtani's been doing his thing, even though he went 0 for 4 yesterday, but I expect Ohtani, the Dodgers, to figure it out and find a way to win this in 5.
At the end of the day, I picked the Braves till the wheels fall off, and the Braves lost in the wild card. We know how they do that. And I understand and I respect why you're going to pick your Dodgers to go ahead and be there till the wheels fall off. I get that, even though they're down. At the end of the day, the Dodgers have they got to win this series. They got too much in the payroll to not win this series. Major League Baseball, etc. Right. Yeah, so Dodgers are the best team in California, Johnny. They're going to pull this one off. American League, the ALDS, where the Tigers and the Guardians are going at it. Who are you taking? The series is tied 1-1. Who's winning the series?
This is, for me, the best series in the divisional, championships, if you will. It's not divisional champion, divisional series. So it's the best matchup here. This Tigers team, who had a 0.2% chance to go ahead and make it to the playoffs, found a way to get in there. The Guardians, who have been the second best team in the American League, they just are a scrappy young bunch. No real big names on there, but they're good pitching, good hitting, good defense. It's been back and forth. 2 games in, both shutouts. So obviously you have their closer, who's one of the best closers in baseball with the Indians, who has allowed 5 runs all season long, 5 runs, and he gives up a 3-run home run in the 9th, and the go-ahead home run, Tigers win it. So it's been back and forth, it's continuing back and forth, but I have to believe that the magic for the Tigers are going to come to an end, and that the better team is going to win this series, since they're going to go back and forth. And I have going 5 games, but I have the Guardians, the Cleveland Guardians going to win in this in 5.
Well, they have to in 5 because that's 2 games they're on the road there. It's going to be Ramirez versus Green, folks, at the end of the day. And I can't trust anything that comes out of Cleveland. I can't trust the best thing that happened to Cleveland, John, you want to know the best thing? Is that they're playing Detroit. Like, you look at all their teams, even in the NBA and in the NFL, right? At the end of the day, these are just 2 terrible franchises and terrible cities. I'll say it. I'm sorry.
There's more success lately, though, with the Guardians than there has been with the Tigers.
I stand by what I said. If you don't like it, you can always email us at Florida Man Sports. I'm going to pick the Tigers to win this series. The run is going to continue. The run is going to continue. We're going to disagree on this one. Tigers win this series.
Tigers haven't won a series, I believe, since 2015, I believe.
No better time like the present. The Yankees and Royals, Johnny Cinco, where Yankees got that payroll like the Dodgers. Who's winning this series?
Well, this series is obviously tied up. We're going to have Game 4 tonight, and that's going to shift where everything's actually Game 3 tonight will shift where everything's going to happen here. But even though it's 1-1, this can easily be 0-2, Yankees down and Royals up. The Yankees won a game by Jazz stealing and then scoring, and we all saw the replay. Being as a Yankee fan, I can tell you, Jazz was out. And somehow, because they couldn't get definitive proof or whatever you want to call it, they went ahead and called him safe. He ended up scoring. But the Yankees could have easily lost that game. There's 2 big things that have me concerned with the Yankees. First is what we all know, Chris. Judge, where the heck are you at, man? Judge is a beast. Judge is the best player in baseball. But
he's running out of time.
One infield single isn't going to go ahead and cut it. You have to go ahead and produce. You've had moments to go ahead and shine, and you've done it all year. Just for whatever reason, haven't done it yet. If the Yankees lose this series and Judge has fallen flat, that's going to be essentially his legacy. People are going to look at him. Much like Barry Bonds was always a beast and he was a mess until he finally did something, and then he got to his team to the World Series where they lost. But still,
I agree.
Ultimately, his legacy is on the line. Listen, Derek Jeter, you have a lot of haters. A lot of people who hate on Derek Jeter said that, oh, he could play for the Yankees, why he's famous. Yes, Derek Jeter wasn't the best shortstop. He wasn't the best leadoff hitter. He wasn't the best number 2 hitter. He wasn't the best of anything. But what he was the best postseason player. He has the most hits in the history of postseason for any team in Major League, any player in Major League Baseball. This guy is as clutch as it comes. Your stats are tenfold in the postseason compared to the regular season. So everybody knows that. Everybody supports that. Everybody, especially Yankee fans, expect our players to show up in the postseason. Judge, you got to do it, man. I love you no matter what, but you got to come through.
And to your point, Johnny, the Yankees have won 50 games on the road, so it's not out of the realm that this can't happen. I'm sticking with the Yankees, right? I guess you're sticking with the Yankees to come out of this?
With the Yankees on that, but sorry to cut you off, but the second thing concerns me. We talked about the Judge issue. Bobby Wood Jr. hasn't done anything. He's 0 for 10. He's 0 for 10 for Kansas City. He's done absolutely nothing. And Kansas City still won the game.
Yeah.
And there's more baseball. So he's going to come through. So we don't need him getting hot. That's going to be the worst thing. So that concerns me that Bobby Wood has done nothing and the Kansas City Royals still won a game.
And to your point, all we're asking for on the road here is just to win one. Win one so that we can get to...
I'm greedy. I want both.
Well, to get back home and to pull this off and win this series. So Yankees till the wheels fall off. And one last thing I'll say about this too, John. Look, at the end of the day, look at baseball, right?
Yeah.
It's got to be the Yankees and the Dodgers, or at least one of those teams. Could you imagine if both teams, from a fan perspective, don't make it?
I mean, that'll be absolutely crazy if
Could you
somehow...
imagine?
You can get away with the Mets, even though they're the fake New York team. But that's an excellent observation, Chris. So it's if the Yankees are off, the Dodgers are out, and we're stuck with like the Tigers and like the Phillies. I mean, at least the Phillies, people enjoy that. But still, nobody wants to see outside of Detroit the Tigers. Nobody wants to see outside of Kansas City the Royals.
Yes.
Nobody wants to see outside of Cleveland the Indians. So any of those 3 teams, people don't really want to see it. Of course. There are more Yankee haters than Yankee fans.
You don't want to see a Padres-Tigers series? You don't want to see?
No, I mean, those are the things people are talking about. The small markets, I get it. There's always people out there that want to see somebody different. But listen, the Yankees haven't won anything since 2009. They're due. So let's go. Let's get it.
Let's go.
Dodgers, even though they won a COVID year, that championship was a bit of a joke. So now let's go ahead and prove it and actually get into the World Series. You guys find a way to lose. If the Yankees and Dodgers lose in the divisional round, my God, God help us all. But Chris, baseball has been exciting. It's going to continue to be exciting here, but let's move to our bread and butter here. Let's go and shift focus to the NFL, Chris. Why do you give me that look for?
Bread and butter is my line.
I didn't realize that. I know that you eat a lot of bread and butter, but it doesn't mean it's your line. So let's lead into Week 6, Chris. Week 6, we can begin this week off with the Jacksonville Jaguars, who finally actually won a game. Peterson avoided getting fired immediately, much like another coach we'll talk about later on. They're facing the Chicago Bears, Chris. Jacksonville Jaguars, Chicago Bears in London. Who you got?
Yes, and just remind everybody, too, Florida Man Sports, we are streaming on all major platforms, so please like, share, subscribe if you're listening just to the football segment.
And even the minor platforms.
And, of course, listen to the previous episodes. And listen, how dare you make fun of bread and butter? I'm not telling your mom about that. Your mom's Dominican. Look, folks, when it comes to the Jaguars and the Bears, it's very simple. Jaguars last week, Johnny, they were playing for their jobs. Coach, quarterback, and they won. And so ultimately on paper, when it comes to the Jaguars and Bears, Johnny, the Jaguars are the better team. Offensively, they're the better team. And more important than anything, folks, they're playing in London. Jags win this one. Jags will be 2-4 when this one's done.
Yes, last season I brought up the note and showed the record of the Jacksonville Jaguars, how they're playing in London. They're unbeatable in London. They're a terrible team. Doesn't matter who their quarterback is. When they're in London, they find a way. I still remember the
Jags-Bills game in London where the Bills were just destroying them and the Jags come back. Yeah,
and the Bills were on point. They were at that point undefeated. Yeah. They were like the powerhouse. Power rankings had them up there, and people were like, "I'm like, no, Jacksonville's won this game because they just find a way to win in London for whatever reason." But Jacksonville again, because they're playing in London, is going to win this game here. The New Orleans Saints. This is my favorite game of the week. It should have been my favorite game of the week, but a injury to Derek Carr, oblique injuries out for several weeks, kind of shifted that a little bit. But still, divisional game. It should be fun. New Orleans Saints are playing your Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Chris, who you got?
Sweeping declaration, my friends. The NFC South is the hardest division in football.
Nonsense.
Go ahead and pause this, look at the divisions, and play it again. Number 2, because you already saw it, is the NFC North. But again, NFC South, NFC North, toughest divisions in football. And even with Carr hurt, Johnny, this is game of the week alert. Divisional games are always tough. Unfortunately, Johnny, the Bucs have been known to make no-name quarterbacks elite. I hate to say that, but it's true. Even with the mini bye week that we had, because we had Thursday Night Football, we still have a lot of holes and gaps on defense that are hurt, Johnny. That being said, I am taking the Bucs to win. We got to keep up with Atlanta at this point, so Bucs will win this one. But don't be surprised. I know Buc fans out there are going to get hurt. Don't be surprised if they start scoring touchdowns on us, because we have been known to make no-name quarterbacks look good. Bucs will win this one.
I disagree with your assessment. We have the same outcome. The Buccaneers are going to go ahead and win this game. But the Buccaneers had a failed performance against Bo Nix and the Denver Broncos. But when you saw the game, not that Bo Nix didn't do anything great. A lot of missed tackles, a lot of things that just are very uncommon of this defense. And that's the reason they lost that game. And this game...
What about the Falcons game? They lost the Falcons.
The Falcons are a better team.
They won in overtime. We were leading all 4 quarters to the end.
They're better team. So Kirk Cousins is a no name.
They won the coin toss, Johnny.
Is Kirk Cousins a no name quarterback?
Congratulations, Falcons, on winning the coin toss, which won you the game in overtime.
Nobody's talking about that. You went ahead and just said that we know find a way to the only no name, whatever you want to call it, Bo Nix, the rookie. But you guys, Bo Nix didn't beat you. You guys beat.
That's the example you wanted to make with Bo Nix, about a no-name quarterback.
I already said that.
Oh boy!
I moved past that.
I'm talking about previous games, Johnny. I'm sorry. I'm talking about how the Bucs have notoriously been known to make no-name quarterbacks look good.
Yes, but your example is horrendous because Kirk Cousins is not a no-name. Okay. It's like, okay, so thank you for interrupting us for nothing.
I wasn't talking about Cousins.
So anyway. Jeez. You said that you brought up the Falcons when I was whole thing
because
there.
They just played the Falcons last week. Continue.
Who's talking about that? You referenced. This is why you're slow. You referenced how somehow Tampa loses the no names. I'm like, well, the only quarterbacks that they lost that you can consider a no name is Bo Nix. But I'm giving credit to the Bucs. I'm like, Bo Nix didn't beat you. You beat yourselves because a lot of missed tackles. You guys did a lot of moves that you don't normally make. And then you went ahead and chimed in with Kirk Cousins. I'm like, Cousins.
No, I didn't say that.
The Falcons are a better team.
I'll let you go, but you misunderstood me. Go ahead.
The Falcons are a better team, so we're not even talking about that. Okay. So here, New Orleans Saints, what's going to happen to them, the same thing happens to the Miami Dolphins. Like any team, you lose your premier. If the Tampa Bay Buccaneers lose Baker Mayfield, they're not going to be the same team.
Kyle Trask.
So the New Orleans is not going to be this team. So while I disagree with you with your assessment that the NFC South is the best, that argument is essentially null and void because this team, several weeks, he's going to be out 3, if not more weeks, Derek Carr, for the Saints. This team is not the same team. So right now in the NFC South, you have the Falcons, you have the Bucs, and that's it. I don't have any faith in New Orleans without Carr, and nor should you. So yes, Tampa Bay Buccaneers are going to win this game, and they're going to win it relatively easily.
Wake up, my friends. He's done talking.
The San Francisco 49ers are playing the Seattle Seahawks. Chris, who you got?
Look, at one point, the Seahawks were undefeated. Remember they were like, 3-0, and everybody was like excited about them in the power rankings. Then they lose to the Lions, and then they lay an egg. They lose to the Giants, Johnny. They lose to the Giants. And now they're at home at Lumen Field. But what's been more disappointing than the Seahawks losing to the Giants?
Yeah, the Niners.
Is the Niners. I am tired of just assuming that the Niners are going to win. So, sweeping declaration. One more time, Niners. I'm picking you to win. If you disappoint me this time, we're going to have to readjust the playoff bracket, the power rankings, and everything. You're 2-3, Niners. Get it together. Niners win.
No. They're playing in Seattle. Seattle's a tough place to play. And it's not that the Niners are a bad team, but I talked to you about this in preseason. When we broke it down, I said the Niners are going to fall off. They're not making it into the Super Bowl again. They're going to have injuries. Something's going to happen. And that's what happened. Injuries, a lot of bad play calling, a lot of coaching decisions that were terrible. But ultimately, the Niners just keep losing. And somehow they're going to go ahead and turn it around. I get it. You're picking them because Seattle lost against the Giants.
Yeah.
But San Francisco's lost to a lot of teams they should have beaten, and they lost.
Can I add one more little caveat?
Sure.
NFC West, you got the Seahawks, the Cardinals, the Niners, and the Rams in that division. Okay, the Seahawks are winning that division right now, and who did the Niners lose to? To the Rams. So even though the Rams are in last place, the Rams beat the Niners. This is a must-win, Johnny. You're taking the Seahawks?
I'm taking the Seahawks.
Wow.
At the end of the day, like this division isn't bad. You mentioned those teams. I'm like the Rams are a good team. They're just injured. Their best players are injured. They're going to be coming back. Yeah. They're going to make a run. And I think San Francisco, once they get everybody back, depending on maybe if CMC ever comes back this season or if ever, but they'll make a run. We'll see what happens there. But still, as disappointing as you're making out Seattle to be, San Francisco's so much worse. Seattle's winning this game in Seattle. The Arizona Cardinals, who also beat San Francisco, are playing the Green Bay Packers. Chris, who's won this game?
This is another Game of the Week alert, Johnny Cinco. You got if you got fantasy players on the offensive side, not running the ball necessarily, but the passing game.
So no Connors?
Yeah, this is gonna be a high-powered offensive type of game. I see. You got two teams still struggling on the running game, and at the end of the day, Johnny, the Packers, they have more to lose in this game. The Packers are at home. I said earlier that the NFC North is the second toughest division. For the Packers to stay in that race, Johnny, I see this game being more like a Bucs-Falcons game that we saw last week, high-powered offenses. Give me the Packers to win at home. It's 49.5 the points, maybe even more than that.
Yeah, it's going to be. The Packers are winning. It's going to be high. For me, this is the type of game I saw when I called last week the Ravens and Bengals. I said, dude, the points, the line is 45 points. They're going to go off. And everybody did. I said, Burrow's going to go off. Yep. Lamar's going to go off. Likely's going to go off. Yep. Flowers is going to go off. Yep. Everybody's going to, and everybody did. So
except you picked the Bengals to win. I picked the Ravens, and I was right. Continue.
Yes. If we all saw that game, man, the Bengals just choked that away. It was theirs to win. They were up by 10 with like 2 minutes to go, and somehow they lose it because terrible play calling. And even Burrow said that they're just not a championship team. So
in 5 weeks, I've won 4 predictions. Listen up. Go ahead.
Okay, that's not accurate because this guy doesn't know math, so math ain't mathin'. So it's okay.
Math ain't mathin'.
Okay. So,
check tape.
Okay, I'm not going to go over this to correct
check
you,
tape.
but that's perfectly fine. Please,
right.
If you're
right.
dealing with the hurricane, you're doing anything else here, go ahead and rewatch our stuff here.
There
Continue,
you go.
Go right ahead, guys, and see who's full of crap and who's the gaslighting king. So I have the Packers again winning this game. Packers are winning this game. It's going to be a high-scoring game. Like you said, a lot of shootouts. So Jordan Love, you got him. Go ahead and play him. Kyler Murray, Marvin Harrison Jr. You got Jalen Reed. Go ahead. These guys are going to blow up here and give you some points there. So Tennessee Titans, they're going against the Indianapolis Colts. Chris, who you got?
Nobody has needed an earlier bye week, Johnny Cinco, than the Tennessee Titans.
Oh, yeah?
Because look, at the end of the day, Brian Callahan, I think we picked him when we had a segment a few weeks back in the beginning of the season
Makes
that
great breaks.
he would be one of the best coaches, new rookie coaches in the league. And so far, he's disappointed at 1-3. So nobody's needed this break. On paper, folks, the Titans are a lot better than their 1-3 record. Period. And if you watch the games, you've watched the blunders that Levis has had, you would agree with me on that. At the end of the day, the Titans are going to benefit from the bye week because they're playing at home, Johnny. Mm-hmm. Titans are going to win this game, get their first win at home. They'll be 2-3 after this one.
You're not better than what your record says. Like the great Bill Parcells says, you are exactly what your record is. So wherever your record tells you they are, that's what you are.
When the season is over, it's not over.
So right now they're a 1-3 team. That's what they are. They're going against the Indianapolis Colts. Flacco's playing great. Tennessee has disappointed both of us. I don't know why you're dancing, but Tennessee.
The fans have said in Gmail that they want entertainment.
Is that what it is there?
Yes,
okay,
continue.
good. That's some outstanding moves you have there. So the Tennessee Titans have failed us both. We weren't expecting them to be a Super Bowl or even win the division. We had them behind the Texans, but still, we expect this to be a playoff team. On paper, they're on point, but Mayo Levis hasn't really had the season we had hoped he would have. But even all the pieces, Pollard, Calvin Ridley, all these guys are just not doing with Hopkins. They're just not doing it. So, no, I have old man Flacco and this better defense, better running game, find a way to win this game against Tennessee.
What if Richardson plays?
He's not.
No, but what if he does? He's questionable. He's not out. What if he plays?
I don't think he is going to play. I have to go still. I'm not going to do this caveat towards like, hey, what if type of thing.
So Colts no matter what.
I'm picking the Colts, but I'm more confident making this pick with Flacco as the quarterback.
That's fair.
But I don't think Richardson's going to go ahead and play this game. Chris, the New England Patriots have announced that they are starting, finally, the Drake May era is going to begin, and he begins his career as a starting quarterback facing the Houston Texans. Who you got?
Well, I'll be very quick and clear in this one. The Texans are going to win this game, so you can bank on that. As far as the score, it's -7. It probably will be more. Ultimately, and we'll talk a little bit more about this, Johnny, I completely disagree with the New England Patriots making the QB change now instead of waiting one more week where then they take on the Jacksonville Jaguars. I'm a big believer that if you're already going to wait 5 weeks like they have, set up your quarterback for success. Don't throw him in the fire against the Texans. They have a very good defense, the Texans do. Instead, wait for Jacksonville. So anyways, Texans win, and the Patriots, as usual, make another bad decision by putting the quarterback in now.
No, I don't know what I'm supposed to say about that.
Terrible.
At the end of the day, I talked preseason about not drafting Drake May. I have no faith in this guy. So what I've seen, I don't like anything about him. But they did it. So they had him like, all right, let's go ahead, please. Specifically to lose, go ahead and put in Drake May to go ahead and get his lumps and lose. But the Patriots, they're just stuck in the mentality of the winning ways for 20 years to work. No, we're going to try to win first. And they quickly realized you can't win. You're not good enough. So if you're not good enough, let me not keep doing this and then maybe squeak out 6-7 games and get this middle-of-the-pack draft pick. They realize, let me take my lumps, let me put my boy in here and see what's up. Your argument, I don't really understand. So you're like, just wait a week to face an inferior opponent. Don't go ahead and go against the Houston Texans. They're too hard. Dude, throw them into the fire. You figure out what you want.
You're questioning my authority here. Let me throw this question at you, Johnny. Let me throw this question at you. Let me throw this question at you. Jacoby Brissett. If Jacoby Brissett plays this game, do the Patriots win? Yes or no?
Have a better chance?
No. Do they win? Yes or no? Who would you pick? Come on, man. Who would you pick?
No.
So just
I've
answer
been
the
very
question.
clear.
Can you please answer the question, sir?
I picked the Patriots like 1 week all year.
So then you would have picked the Texans, right? So
yes.
in other words, making this change now, Johnny, because you're asking me why I'm saying
they're going to lose no matter what, but you have to.
Thank you. And if you're going to lose no matter what, you might as well give your rookie quarterback the best opportunity possible, and that is wait until the Jacksonville Jaguars. It makes perfect sense. Instead of the Texans defense. That's all I'm saying.
They're going to lose no matter what. And when they play the Jacksonville,
facts.
And when they play Jacksonville, they're going to lose again. So it doesn't matter. Sure. You're going to go. You're over here like, we got to wait because you have a better chance to win with Jacoby. I'm like, they've already. When you bring in the rookie, you've already given up on the season. Like, all right, we're going to go ahead and do it.
Correct.
So take your lumps and learn. We don't care. Ideally, the Patriots.
The Texans, we can agree to disagree on when they're starting the rookie quarterback.
The Patriots. Well, they should have started him like we have both agreed on. Yeah. They should have started the season with him.
Right.
But you thought.
And at this point, all I'm saying is wait one more game, Johnny. That's all I'm saying. Just wait one more game.
the end of the day, we both agree that they should have started him. I think they should have started him because I want them to lose and get their lumps to get a better draft pick. You actually thought the Patriots have more success with Drake May as their starting quarterback.
Yes, they would have won more games. I had him winning 4 to 5 games if he would have started day one, but he didn't. So because he didn't, don't start him against the Texans.
You always find a way to kind of sneak out of it.
I'm very
they
adamant.
announced they never was close. When you made your pick, they announced Jacoby's going to be their guy, and you stuck with that.
Yeah.
So don't try to go ahead and back up now and say, well,
No.
my pick was based on the fact that they never flirted with the idea of Drake May being the quarterback until right now.
I'm not saying that. I stick with the fact that I still think that the Patriots could have won, still have an opportunity to, by the way, season's not over yet, to win more than the 2 or 3 games they're expecting. The season's still young.
This guy's going to win a game or two.
Yeah,
He's going to find a win a game or two.
Exactly.
It's just not going to be this particular week against the Houston Texans. Ain't happening there. The Cleveland Browns, Chris, they're facing the Philadelphia Eagles. Who you got?
Sweeping declaration, my friends.
How many
Number 3.
sweeping
Number
declarations
3.
are you going to have?
The Browns make a change at coach or quarterback this week, but they won't do quarterback because the quarterback is overpaid.
Then why'd you even do it?
Because
why'd you give me the lore?
Because if it was me, I would have done the quarterback. Anyways.
Hey, one of these things are going to happen, but one thing's not going to happen. That's what you just said.
Eagles win. Don't overthink this one. It's very simple. At the end of the day, man, Brown is back. Smith is back. The Eagles have something to prove coming off of their bye week. So give me the Eagles to win and just like it's 8.5 Eagles. They're probably going to win by 2 touchdowns or more, in my opinion. And again, the Browns are going to have to make some changes. They should change the quarterback, but they're not. Coach is probably going to get fired after this one.
Cleveland defense is actually pretty good, so it'll be a little tighter than what you're saying. It's not going to be a blowout. Philadelphia is going to win this game.
2 touchdowns, not a blowout.
Yeah, Philadelphia's winning this game, so it's going to happen. It's without being said, but I understand why you say that. Hey, one of these things are going to happen, but one thing is not going to happen. So why do you give us two options?
It's wishful thinking. I wish the quarterback would be benched, but it's never going to happen. I'm a wishful thinker, John. I reach for the stars.
Obviously, Watson's not going anywhere. We already saw that this dude's a quitter. This dude, his body language is a mess. He quits at everything except massages. But like the Browns. You reap what you sow, bro. Everybody outside of Cleveland's laughing at you because you did this yourself. Mainly the owner. I feel bad for the coach. Coach never wanted Watson, never wanted him to begin with. But the owner forced it and continues to force this guy. That's why he's not going anywhere. So I agree with you. If anybody's going to be gone, it's going to be the coach. I don't think they're going to fire the coach until the offseason. Because they already owe so much money to Watson. If you fire a coach, you got to pay him.
If they don't do that, if the coach stays and if Watson stays too, which we expect him to stay, then they're going to make some type of changes via Cooper being traded. Something. Listen, the Browns are going to have to rattle this cage no matter what. So something's going to happen after they lose this one.
What's going to happen is that they're going to attempt to bring in a coach that can fix Watson.
Sure.
And they're going to see what's up with that. Listen, you've mentioned the name Belichick, but why would Belichick go to the Browns, that mess? Why would Belichick go to the Cowboys? Why would they do any of these things?
Why would he go to the Jets to deal with Rodgers?
These are possibilities. I think he's going to go to Jacksonville. So the Giants is where he comes from. It's possibility he's going to go deal with the Giants because Daniel Jones, after this particular year, there's no more guaranteed money.
Right.
They don't have to stick with him. So they can go to Belichick and say, hey, you can draft a quarterback or pick somebody up on a free agency. There's a lot of things in place, but he's going to go to a premier franchise, or he's going to Jacksonville. That's just going to give him everything.
Full control.
Everything.
I agree there.
Trevor Lawrence.
So we finally agree on something.
Trevor Lawrence is a mess, but that dude was a beast in Clemson.
You can't write that script any better. I know we're giving you picks and predictions here, but think about that for 1 second. If he goes to Jacksonville, where Daniel Jones is the backup.
Oh, that'll be interesting. Yeah. So Mac Jones. Mac Jones. Yeah. So yes, it will be interesting. But people are still speculating it's the Cowboys or something else here. Listen, the Cowboys and like the Browns. I heard somebody talking about this to where like that's the circus, and if you and Belichick is the king of coaching, and if you're a king that goes to a circus, you're not a king. You're not the king of the circus. You are a clown. So like it's something to where it's not going to happen. I don't see it happening there. So nobody wants to go ahead and be the ruler of a freaking circus. So it's going to be the Jacksonville Jaguars, the Giants. Those are the two now. I've dissected it down. So those are the two front runners. But who knows? Other teams can come into the mix. But Belichick definitely
Browns
is going to go ahead. You think so?
Yeah. I'm sticking with the Browns.
Okay, like
you can say the circus thing all you want. At the end of the day, this next year rather, with Watson, there's ways legally where you don't have to pay the rest of the money. They've talked about that already. As far as yes, there is.
Okay, break it down. Let's discuss it.
So they've already talked about legally wise. They have to pay a certain amount of years, and after that, they have a way where they can apply and fill out paperwork.
You mean a clause, or you mean insurance?
No, it's like a clause, not insurance. It's like a clause, and that they feel like they can do that. And if that's the case, at the end of the day, Cleveland has proven one thing: they're okay with overpaying people, like they've overpaid Watson. And I wouldn't, if Belichick gets the keys in Cleveland, which they would give it to him, they would also pay him abundantly. So I can't take the Cleveland. I don't know your little circus tangent. I understand it to a degree.
They're terrible. They're terrible.
But I can see Belichick going, you know what? I'm going to be here for like 10 years or more because this team needs me, and the money's going to be there. Well, so I think Cleveland's still in the race.
The dude's going to get the money no matter what, Chris. No matter where he goes, he's going to get the money.
Of course, but Cleveland throws it. They throw it like water. I mean,
you're telling me that the Jacksonville Jaguars are not going to give this guy the keys to the whole franchise and say, hey, and you have a better situation over there with young talent, and you have what you're referencing. I'm not 100% sure on in terms of like Watson getting out of that contract. There's no way the Players Association is going to allow that, and more importantly, when they signed him to this contract, he was already in the heat of these legal woes.
I think exactly. I think it's actually because of the most recent legal woes that he's got right now, where he allegedly knew, and then again, we'll talk a little bit more about it in other episodes, where he allegedly knew, like this was just new to me, but he knew at the beginning of the season that this allegation was coming. And so this is something new and something fresh, and that's where they're talking about legally speaking. They could technically make an argument to get out of it.
Good luck. I don't see it happening. It's not going to. They're going to be stuck with Watson and stuck with that. That's what happens when you give somebody who has no moral backbone a fully guaranteed contract. You do this to yourselves. I mean, at the end of the day, we don't know what's going to happen when injuries or things happen there.
I want his agent, though.
No, 100%. But the thing is that you have insurance on contracts to protect team-wise. So even if you have a fully guaranteed contract, what's going to happen with Tua, for example? Tua, if for reason he still wants to play or something happens, if the Miami wants to go ahead and then just get rid of him for whatever reason, they have insurance. It's going to hurt them on the cap, but financially you're going to be fine because insurance is going to cover those things. Yeah. Now, there's no insurance for moral clauses. Mm-hmm. It's like, all right, you can try to get out of it, but they signed this contract with Watson. Yeah. Understanding all these things.
Remember the term, brother. The term is detrimental to the team, and that's where that argument. Well, like I said, we'll talk about it.
I get it, and we're done with it. But that's not going to work when you signed this player knowing that he had 28 women saying that they were sexually assaulted. So good luck with that. It ain't going to fly. But we spent a lot of time with the Browns, but the Washington Commanders, Chris, they're facing the Baltimore Ravens. Great game. Who you got?
Don't want to take anything away from Rookie of the Year, Jaden Daniels. Yes, I said it. Rookie of the Year already. I said it last week, too. I don't want to take anything away from the 4-1 Commanders. Thank you. The fact is, the teams that they have beat, the Commanders with the 4-1 record, Johnny, the teams that they've beat, they're 6-14. So, again, you got to take that into context here. With the Ravens at home, the Ravens are going to win this game. The Ravens are way better than their 3-2 record would indicate. Ravens win, and they've got over 52 points, 52.5 points. So this is going to be a high-scoring game, 2.0. Ravens win.
Man, this game can easily be like an upset-type game. No. I mean, right now, you're looking at this. I mean, Jaden Daniels is throwing like 90%, and his legs are on point. He hasn't got hurt. The defense for the Commanders are on point. Even Eckler somehow is actually running the ball decently for the Commanders. But Baltimore is Baltimore. You know, they made the moves they needed to make. Andrews is a ghost. Likely is the guy who's taken over that tight end spot. Flowers had a great game last week and continued the receiving course there. Lamar Jackson he's scrambling and doing everything he needs to do. Henry is. The Cowboys are kicking themselves. Everybody's like, he's going to the Cowboys. Even Derrick Henry himself was like, all right. He's from Texas. He was expecting a call from the Cowboys, and the Cowboys didn't make it because they didn't have any money. They would have had the money if they would have signed the same players they signed in the middle season. They signed them in the offseason. They would have had money left over for Henry, but they're fools. And the Ravens took advantage of it. The Ravens will win this game. But it's not going to be I mean, I don't know. You think it's going to be a blowout? Or
it's not going to be a blowout, Johnny. At the end of the day, I'm going to stick to what I said. 6-14. You can have a 4-1 record, but when your opponents are 6-14, the Ravens, they have wins against the Bills and the Cowboys. They're the better team. And so the spread says -6.5 Baltimore, which means 7 or more points. So, no, I definitely think the Ravens have this one in the bag, and I think it's going to be a very high-scoring game.
I think Baltimore's win this game. if you are betting, bet on Washington. It's going to be a close game. I think that Baltimore's winning by 3 to 6 points. So if the spread is 6.5, go ahead and take Washington on the spread. But Baltimore is my pick to win the game. The Denver Broncos are facing the Los Angeles, former San Diego Chargers. Who you got, Chris?
Yeah, the Chargers win 3, lose next 2. Broncos lose 2, win the next 3. At the end of the day, Johnny, Justin Herbert, Joey Bosa, and Joe Alt are all practicing after the bye week. That's the biggest Achilles heel for this team.
Achilles.
2-2 is that the injury bug, but they're coming back. At this point, the Chargers with Herbert are slightly better than the Broncos. Chargers went on the road. So Chargers and Coach Harbaugh are 3-2 after this one, and the Broncos, be happy with yourself because 3-3 at this point is pretty good.
Yeah, the Broncos have overachieved. They've won games they shouldn't have won, but hey, respect to you, you did what you needed to do. But that ends this week. The Chargers are better defensively, they're better offensively, and they're getting healthy. To your point, so yes, the Chargers are winning this game. Pick the Chargers.
Yep.
The Las Vegas Raiders are playing the Pittsburgh Steelers. Who you got, Chris?
Look, at the end of the day, folks, Florida Man Sports, platforms, the Steelers, Justin Fields, I'm looking at you, looking at you. You have no choice but to win this game because your coach, and rightfully so, says that there's no starting quarterback. I don't need to name somebody. And at the end of the day, the Steelers are 3-2, Johnny. If they're 3-3, Russell Wilson takes over this team. So give me Justin Fields to go on beast mode, win this game because they have to. Steelers win.
Yeah, Pittsburgh's winning this game. The Raiders just have no one. There's tons of injuries. Their top receiver is hurt his hamstring and is on the trade block. He'll probably be traded this week, if not next week, but he's still not playing in this game. So, yes, the Pittsburgh Steelers are winning this. It will be interesting, though, because if I can easily see Pittsburgh making a move the same way that a lot of college coaches do, to where if there's no offensive production in the first half, if Russell Wilson is healthy, 100%. Now, last week he was a number 3, but he wasn't healthy. He was the emergency third string, but he wasn't healthy. If he is 100% healthy and ready to be back on, if he is the true backup, then I can see if they're not pushing the ball halftime or earlier or anything else, I can see him bringing in Russell Wilson.
Absolutely. I agree with you. I agree with you.
And then Justin Fields, you're in the back burner.
Ultimately, that's the whole point, right? They expect to win this game. So to your point, if they're not winning by halftime, I agree with you 100%.
There's no excuse. The Raiders it's a nosedive. Now, let me ask you another question.
Did you call the Raiders to win the division, Johnny?
Have you lost your mind? Now, if you want to bring up that, I did bring up the Raiders in terms of like they're being better than I thought. I thought Minshew would be better than I thought, but it's just been a complete collapse for the Raiders. But
could it be, Johnny, that I was right previous episodes when I said that the coach is a rah-rah coach and that the Raiders would not have a very good season, that, in fact, you compared Minshew to Mayfield. And I said, no, Johnny, you are wrong.
I'm wrong? If you want to argue that, Minshew is very much like Baker Mayfield.
Oh, my God, bro. All right, look. This man, 4 weeks ago,
can I say
said that Mayfield and Minshew were the same person.
I just said that.
Jesus.
So they are very much. Now, what I was referencing is that he's exactly like Baker Mayfield with the Cleveland Browns. So Baker Mayfield, the Cleveland Browns. Let me see. Look at Minshew. No offensive line. He gets thrown up there. So Minshew, look at the tape between Minshew right now and your boy with the Cleveland Browns. They're the exact same guy.
I would tell you get into politics, but we don't have a communist party.
Let me ask you a question now, Chris. Let me ask you a question before you cut me off because you're rude like that. So now that the Raiders, clearly, we talked about it last week. We talked about the 2 spots who's probably going to. Here's the dilemma, Chris. The 2 spots, you were like, he's going to New Orleans. I was like, he's going to the Jets. Yeah. Okay, the reason he's going to New Orleans is because of Derek Carr. Derek Carr's going to be out 4 or 5 weeks. Mm-hmm. Do you still see him going there? And for me, I'm doubting, is he going to the Jets? Because now he sees the mess going to the Jets. They fired the coach. Why is he going to go to a spot where they fired the coach, horrible offense, and you have Aaron Rodgers, his former quarterback, or you go to his college quarterback, which they attempted a little bit previously and didn't really work out, but he's out for 4 or 5 weeks. So is New Orleans and the Jets still the favorite landing spot for Adams?
I would argue that, since you want to bring it up, that I'm going to lose this one because Carr being hurt for the next few weeks gives him, to me, now it makes it like, what's the point, right? What's the point of Devontae Adams going there? Whereas the Jets, this actually helps your point. You pick the Jets, and this I think helps them because because what they're basically saying is the offense is not good enough. We need to get better, and that's why they fired the coach. So if you think about it like that, folks, they're probably more in line now than ever to get Adams and put him in that new offensive scheme. So I think that this actually helps your point, and it hurts mine.
Well, I thought from before, regardless, that he wasn't going to New Orleans because he already attempted to try to do this thing with his college quarterback. It didn't work out.
I stand by what I said before, and you guys were listening to the episodes. I said at the end of the day, you got to have Devontae Adams loves Carr from the college days. They love playing together.
Yes.
And the Saints were trying to keep up with that division. That was still true. So I stand by that. But Carr being hurt, it's the Jets.
They attempted and didn't work out. I don't think either of these two teams are now in the mix of things. Why is Adams going to okay it? He has to okay this because whoever makes this deal has to have some restructuring of the contract. So that's the reason why there still has to be an okay by Adams. So Adams, I don't see him giving a thumbs up to either of these two teams.
You're alluding to this. Who's your team, Johnny?
I'm saying. So for us, it's like these two teams. Now, what I think who's the gray horse coming in here out of nowhere?
Gray horse?
Yeah, it's nice. You like that?
Gray horse. Dark horse?
I don't see color.
Okay. You see gray, but you see gray.
Some of us are racist.
Who do you got?
Dark horse.
Who do you got?
My God, what a racist you are.
The express.
So the gray horse. The Kansas City Chiefs now are in the mix, guys. Kansas City Chiefs are in the mix in terms of like they have the cap room to mix some things up here and do something. They can bring them on board.
Tyreek Hill has a better opportunity going back to Kansas City than Devontae Adams has of playing there.
No, that's not accurate.
Yes.
So, the coach from Miami has already said that he's not on the trading block, not interested. Even Hill came on and said, like, no, I'm staying here in Miami. It's not happening.
Which is my point.
So how's that more of a chance if the player and the coach say he's not going anywhere, and the other team, Adams, which is available, is available for anybody else here?
And that's my point.
One of the dumbest things.
That means he has 0%.
That was one of the dumbest things you ever said. That Hill has a better chance.
If Tyreek Hill has no chance, then what does Adams have?
So anyway, the gray horse in this scenario here is the Kansas City Chiefs now are in the mix. I'm not saying he's going to in the mix. They was in the mix before, but there were whispers. Now they're no longer whispers. They're getting a little bit louder. Chris, the Dallas Cowboys, them boys, you're going against my Super Bowl pick, the Detroit Lions. Who you got?
Another game of the week alert, folks. The Lions are slightly better team. And the reason why I say slightly, Johnny, yes, here's why. The teams that they've beaten in the NFC West combined, their record, Johnny, 6-9. So these are outliers for me when you have a 3-1 record.
So they beat the teams they're supposed to.
Now they're with a record of 6-9. So they're coming out of the bye week.
What does that do with them?
They're coming out of the bye week, and normally, Johnny, I would give them credit if they were coming out of the bye week and they're at home. In this case, they're on the road. Coming off the bye week is kind of tough. You get jet lagged, all that good stuff. So I'm putting the Lions in upset alert after the bye week. I'm gonna stick to my script, folks. I've said this to you many times. This year, the Lions are not going to be as good as they were last year. I'm going to stick to that script. It starts now. The Cowboys need this win more than the Lions. They're 0-2 at home so far. If you go back to the playoffs, they're 0-3. Give me the Cowboys to get their first win at AT&T Stadium. Prior to them losing in the playoffs, Johnny, they were a really good home team. I expect them to turn the page, and I expect the Lions to start that losing streak that I spoke to you guys about earlier. Cowboys win.
Chris talks out of both sides of his mouth. So now, suddenly the Lions coming off a bye week, that's not going to help them. But Tennessee coming off a bye week is going to help them
at home. You see how I did that?
The Cowboys who played well at home last year, lost in the playoffs at home, has lost home games this year. The home field advantage for Dallas Cowboys is non-existent this year. Dallas fans are fake fans. They're kind of a joke. So why do you think that's going to go ahead and actually be an advantage to you? And it's not going to be an advantage to you for a team. A Super Bowl contending team coming off of a bye week is somehow going to lose to the Cowboys just because they're playing in Dallas.
Okay, so you're picking the Lions.
That analysis is horrendous.
You're picking the Lions to win.
The Detroit Lions, who are arguably one of the best teams in all of football, are going to win this game. The Carolina Panthers, Chris. Carolina Panthers are facing your second favorite team, the Atlanta Falcons. Who you got?
Division games can be close, Johnny. Did you know that? That the NFC South is always competitive? Did you know that?
I didn't know that. Thanks.
It would be like a blunder at this point of biblical proportions for the Panthers to beat the Falcons. Yeah, it would be one of those things. So it's not going to happen here. The Falcons are going to win this game. Take that one to the bank. Please don't overthink this one. The one thing I will give the Falcons credit for, Johnny, is that they are a fourth quarter team. All of their wins, fourth quarter or overtime. So even if it was a close game, Johnny, because it's the division, the Falcons are still winning this game.
It's going to be a close game. It's not going to be a biblical proportion type game, whatever nonsense
I said
you
if they
said there.
lose, it would be a loss.
You said it's going to be a blowout.
Because, no, if they lost, buddy, meaning that if the Panthers
this is
somehow
going
beat
to
the
be-
Falcons, everybody would lose money.
Carolina can lose, can win
exactly.
this game.
Yeah, exactly.
Atlanta is winning this game, but the point spread on this is what, 6.5?
The point spread on this one is 6.5.
So 6.5. I'm telling you, if you're betting the points, go ahead and take Carolina because Atlanta is going to win this game by like a coup field goal. That 6.5 point spread is safe. So this is not going to be a blowout, like you mentioned.
I didn't say blowout.
This Andy Dalton led. How many points do you expect them to win by double digits? 10 plus points? Atlanta.
I say they win by 10.
Okay, so you expect a double digit win. I'm telling you, it's not.
10.
This is going to be.
10. It's
What
not
we've
blowout.
seen.
10 is not blowout, just so you know.
Okay. Anyway, it's a double.
Get your words together.
Double points is still going to go ahead and be a significant win. So you're over here like talking about, oh yeah, it's not double digits is significant, especially in the pros. So if you're over here giving 10 points in the pros, you always take it. So yes, it's significance in the pros. You're saying right now the 6.5 points. It's not going to be. It's going to be a coup field goal, maybe 6 points, but 6.5 is safe. Pick Carolina for the points, but. Make no mistake, the Atlanta Falcons are winning this game.
Listen, folks, last week I gave you another winning record with my picks. I think 4 out of the 5 weeks I've been on fire. So just tune in because I'm just getting started. Who's
Nonsense.
next?
I suggest you guys, if you're hunkering down in the South, riding out the storm, please watch these videos and see all the gaslighting that our boy Chris
last
does here.
week, winning
So
record. The week before, one of us was winning record for 100, and then every week I've led.
Before it was me, and we shared a week.
Whoa, we don't share anything. What's next?
And so we shared a week, but you looked at this thing nonsense to go ahead. For some reason, you're just full of crap.
What's next?
The Jersey Giants, Chris, they're playing the Buffalo Bills. Who you got?
The Bengals just continue to break hearts, Johnny Cinco, in Cincinnati, in Ohio, and wherever else you are a Bengals fan. Look, guys, you got Joe Burrow, 1,370 yards, 12 touchdowns, 2 interceptions, and you are 1-4. What is going on in this season? I don't understand. It's so frustrating. If I, as a Buck fan, was 1-4 with my quarterback having 12 touchdowns to 2 interceptions, I would be pissed. The Giants, they beat the Seahawks last week, so now they're 2-3. Don't tell me you expected that one because that's another one we didn't call. Cincinnati is expected to win this game. Where have you heard this before?
All season.
I don't have a pick in this one when I did all this, folks, and so I'm going to just go with my gut at this point and my heart. This is a toss-up game for me, Johnny. I'm going to pick the Giants to win at home. They found a formula last week against the Seahawks. They're going to rinse and repeat against the Bengals. And the Bengals and Joe Burrow are going to be 1-5 when this one's done.
Okay, so we're going the Giants and Bengals. Okay, I got you now. Okay, so this particular game, I get what you're going back and forth on.
This is the only toss-up game I have.
What's clear is that the Cincinnati Bengals, even Burrow has said it himself, that they're not a championship team. So they should have won the game against the Ravens. They should have won a game against the Chiefs. Now, the refs helped the Chiefs, but still, beside the point, the Bengals can't win against contenders. The Giants are not contenders, so I have to believe they're going to win these games against non-contenders, even though the Giants won last week. Still, Cincinnati Bengals are going to win this game.
This is the only game that I genuinely have doubts about when I made my predictions, folks. I mean, it could very well be the Bengals. I'm just tired. They're breaking enough hearts, man. You're not going to get me this time.
I get it. It's been the case for a lot of teams this particular year, but I still have faith in the Bengals against the Giants. The Jersey Jets, they're facing the Buffalo Bills, Chris. Monday Night Football, obviously one of the best games this particular week. It should be interesting at least now that the Jets fired Saleh. So, Chris, I'm going to ask you who's going to win this game, but before you give me your prediction, they fired Saleh. Do you agree with that right now? 5 games going into week 6, they fired the coach. Do you agree with that move?
Yes. If you go back to the behavior by the coach and quarterback, everybody saw the
because
videos
of the push off. That's why that makes it okay.
The push off, Go back to the commentary where Rodgers literally threw him under the bus, saying how he disagrees with them picking that call or that play. So this has been brewing for the last few games, Johnny. So yes, I do agree with it. At the end of the day, it sucks that Coach did not have an opportunity last year with the injuries. I'm sympathetic to that. I understand that. But you're in win now mode. Everybody knows that Rodgers doesn't have the next 3 years. The window is this small. The defense was playing well, but ultimately, in this league, you'll agree with me on this, offense wins championships nowadays, and the offense didn't have it together. So ultimately, yes, Johnny, I think it was a good move for Woody Johnson, 25 years, first time firing a coach in 25 years during the regular season, so that's definitely an outlier. I'll give you my predictions, too, while I get your take.
Who's winning?
I'm taking the Jets to win at home, baby. Look, the Bills, the worst thing the Bills did last week is they lost. The Bills lost last week. I called that one. So the Bills lost, the Jets lost as well, but they're only one game behind. So if the Jets win at home, not only are they taking the division for right now, which is what I call that the Jets are going to win this division, but they got to stay in this race. So give me the Jets, Jets to win because they fired the coach. Aaron Rodgers wins at home.
This is one of the main reasons why the Jersey Jets are a Mickey Mouse organization. One, you just saw Rodgers pull his best LeBron impression because Rodgers is behind this firing. You saw the disrespect he showed his coach. He forced this organization to bring on this offensive coordinator. Hackett is a hack. He's a joke. He's not a good offensive coordinator, but he calls the plays that Rodgers likes. So this guy has it in his head that he knows what he's doing. He doesn't want to change anything, and he wants the play caller to call plays that he enjoys doing. Not necessarily what's best for the football team, but Rodgers is one of those guys that thinks he knows everything. So you saw what Brady did, 40+. If you think Rodgers is going to do that, you obviously see that's not.
Was your tagline "Hackett is a hack"? That's what you just said to the fans.
Yeah, that's what I just said right now. It's good. Actually, I'm going to put that there, like it's a hashtag. Hackett is a hatch. Okay. But you saw that it's disrespect. At the end of the day, they're 2-3. Yes, they had some tough losses, especially against the Broncos. And look, it's just something they should have won. They lost last week, but they're one game behind the Bills, who are in first place. And guess what? They're playing the Bills right now. If they win this game, they are in first place in the AFCs. So you fire the coach right now who leads the defense, and the Jets are a top 3 defense in the league. That's not an issue. Your issue is your offense. Offense is pedestrian. It's a joke. It's so predictable. So the issues with the offense, and you go ahead and fire your defensive coach, which is leading, one of the top leading defenses in the league. So no, it's a mistake for them to go and fire. So I'm not a big fan of the guy. The guy didn't have a chance. Let him go ahead and have a full season with Rodgers. Last year was a wash. He got what he got with Zach Wilson. Let's see what you can do. I don't understand it, but they're the Jets. That's why. I talked to you about.
And who are you picking to win the game?
Not the Jets. It's not going to be the Jets. Buffalo Bills are winning this game.
Here's what you're saying, brother. Here's what you're saying, Florida Man Sports, streaming on all platforms. What I'm basically saying is that this was a good move, and therefore the Jets are going to win. You're saying it was a bad move, and the Bills are going to go ahead and win this game. So you know who's going to get proved right at the end of it, right? Okay. Whoever wins the game. We're going to see.
The thing is that the issues are all offensively. So firing the coach, what's changing offensively, Chris?
Well, look, I have to think and I have to assume that because they promoted the coach, the defensive coach, to be the interim
fake defensive coordinator.
Right. So I have to assume that he's going to have to do something, whether that's releasing the reins or whatever the coach was doing to get the offense on track. Because clearly he's not the offensive coordinator.
Rodgers leads the offense. He has Hackett.
Maybe that's what he's doing. Maybe the coach wasn't letting Rodgers do that. I don't know.
No,
that's
Hackett.
What I'm saying.
I do know because here.
Right.
Hackett's his boy. Hackett lets him do whatever the heck he wants. That's why he wants him there. And the offense is a mess. Yes, Rodgers went ahead and threw 3 interceptions last game against Minnesota. You know what? They could have kept Zach Wilson. Could have gave you 3 picks. They didn't go. They're not paying you all that money, Rodgers, to have the exact same performance as Zach Wilson. So, no, it's on you. If you saw some of the passes, they were off. The timing was off. You can't blame the receivers on everything. Last game was 100% on you, Rodgers.
Those are the picks and predictions for Week 6 in the NFL, folks. And if you're just tuning in now, I want to remind you 2 things. One, our picks are on point. Whether it's me 90% of the time or Johnny 10% of the time, our picks are on point. Right. And where we don't miss, Johnny Cinco, is in fantasy football. So if you're listening to the fantasy football segment last week and the week before that, we have given you waiver wire pickups that have hit gold. We have given you start 'em and sit 'em that have hit gold. So you definitely want to tune into this part, Johnny. And we're going to start with the waiver wire pickup. Who's at the top of your list this week?
To your point, I'll get into my pick. We haven't missed. It's not 10% of the time we've missed. We haven't missed a single week with our waivers, with our start 'em and sit 'em. So
Yes.
while obviously we pick our teams in football, we never know what's going to happen here. But in fantasy football, if you're serious about fantasy football, understand that we have not missed
Let's
a
go.
waiver or anything here. So right now, this particular week here, my top waiver guys, twofold here. You have Mooney, who's available on 51% of rosters here. He's available half the leagues you guys playing. He's available. Mooney, the wide receiver for the Falcons, looks like the number one target for Kirk Cousins. So if Mooney's available, he's giving you better numbers than even London in many weeks here. So go ahead and pick up Mooney. He's available, half of them there. The other one I think you should start and pick up. They're available at the defense for the Houston Texans defense. They are facing a rookie in the Patriots quarterback. I'm not a fan of Drake May. Regardless of a fan, yes, we can talk about a lot of different things here, but I think those two, a rookie, start defense against them. Those are my top two waiver picks.
And again, this is Florida Man Sports. You're going to get two perspectives from two different Florida men. So, Johnny, I agree with you on Mooney. There's no question about it there that he's an integral part of the offense. But on the defense, you're talking about a guy that they don't have any tape on.
Correct.
You're talking about a guy that could run for a touchdown, pass for a touchdown. Are you sure? We've been 100%. You're telling the fans to go ahead and start the Texans defense when they don't really know. I mean, we picked the Texans to win, but we don't really know that this guy could carve out 2, 3, 4 touchdowns.
So remember last year, the week one for Levis, the dude dropped 4 touchdown passes. So to your point, rookies, there's no tape on them, so you have to be a little careful. But from what I've seen of this guy from preseason and even a little bit of junk time, Drake May is going to make some mistakes. I expect a pick 6, multiple interceptions.
Okay.
I
All right.
expect turnovers. And what did the defense get you in fantasy points? Turnovers.
Correct.
So expect turnovers by this Houston Texans team. They're going to create turnovers for the Patriots and get some points. So, yes, start the Houston Texans.
For me, folks, I'm going to give you two. I'm going to give you a wide receiver and a running back to be looking out for if you haven't already done so. Let's start with Darius Slayton, Giants wide receiver. It's not just about the production last week, folks. He's only rostered in 4% of leagues. It's one thing, Johnny, for you for your players rather to get the points that they need, but it's even better when the team wins. So I expect more of the same. He's averaging 5 targets per game, had 11 last week. So I expect Slayton to continue to be an option for Daniel Jones. He's projected this week 7 or 8 points. I'm thinking it's more 11 to 15. So not only do you pick him up, rostered in 4% of leagues, Johnny, but you also play him as a flex option if you need a flex this week.
Yeah, Slayton's a good pickup.
Yeah, my second one I'm going to give you real quick here as far as running backs goes, Tank Bigsby. He is the real deal. I know in previous weeks, Johnny called it out, and rightfully so, with Bucky Irvin, with the White and Bucky Irvin battle that they have going on. This is the exact same battle with Etienne, except it's like on steroids, because Bigsby is the real deal. They've already been talking about Etienne possibly being a trade bait this season. You're talking about a guy who last week gave you 7.8 yards per game. He gave you a reception for 28 yards. So, again, rostered in under 10% of ESPN leagues. If he's available this week, the Jacksonville running backs, they're projected about between 15 and 20 points. I expect Bigsby to have at least half of them. So, again, if you need a running back right now, which I don't know about you, but our league, running backs, they're one. We need running backs. They're scarce. Pick up Tank Bigsby. He is the real deal.
If you saw the game last week for Jacksonville, you saw Tank look like Mike Allstott and just knocking people over to the end zone. So I do like that pick. We do see that Jacksonville does this. We saw it the last time with Leonard Fournette, who was the number 2 pick overall, which is a beast out of LSU. They went ahead and got rid of him and brought in Robinson. Robinson showed up and fantasy-wise really performed for you guys, if you remember. So it's the same thing. I agree. They're going to go ahead and find a way, either get rid of Etienne or do something if they can get the capital for him. And I do see Tank going ahead and taking over that role here and getting some points. So that is a good pickup on that. So I agree on that end here. Well, Chris, let me go ahead and ask you. Those are our waiver picks here, but I always get emails coming in here asking on whether start or sit somebody or who should I start here, back and forth here. So the last one I read here, they're asking. We answered this in previous weeks, but they asked again. This new matchup is Baltimore's tight end Andrews. So Mark Andrews, Chris, are you starting Mark Andrews?
No, absolutely not. Absolutely not. Likely, one of the things that we said in previous episodes, too, is that we were going to look out to see what Likely does. Can he do it again? He did it last week. And so I have enough on Likely at this point, Johnny, where if I have Likely between Likely and Andrews, I start Likely. And if I have Andrews and I don't have Likely, I bench Andrews. You can do a lot better. There's a lot better options. Last week, we gave you Kraft for Green Bay, and he blew up. So there's definitely better options at this point. I don't say you cut Andrews, but he definitely should be on your bench.
I mean, really, if you need the spot on your bench, I would even consider cutting. Not consider if you need the spot, because depending on what your situation, people are on bye weeks. You can't hold on to somebody forever. If you have that luxury to keep them on your bench, great. Just because you never know what if it somehow is. But Andrews is done. I'm sorry. Maybe he'll perform 1 week towards the end of the year. Maybe it's something they need here, but Likely is the clear number one tight end. Andrews is a shell of who he used to be. So, yes, I think it's time to go ahead and move on, like I mentioned previously, but it's even more so. It's proven that much more that Andrews is done. So, yes, go ahead and let him go. Now, guys, I'm put the email up here. If you have questions regarding the fantasy, please go ahead. And we've actually have a couple of them of people not so much asking if we want to go ahead and sit them or start them, but these are my options. Who should I start? Who should I keep on my bench?
Let's go.
So we got a couple of these here, Chris. So let me ask you. We have a gentleman asking if they should start Bo Nix against the Chargers or Aaron Rodgers against Buffalo.
Listen, I understand why the question comes in because Bo Nix has been playing better every game. He gave you, I think, 2 touchdowns and 200 yards last game. But don't overthink this one, guys. It's Aaron Rodgers. Because, look, it's on his shoulders at this point. They fired the coach. They're going to need, with the Bills, I don't care if the Bills have a good defense, they're going to need to put up points. He's going to have a lot to prove. So if it's between Rodgers and Nix, play Rodgers, play him confidently. Even if the Jets don't win, I called them to win, but even if they don't, I expect Rodgers to have over 23, 24 points.
Yeah, I mean, Bo Nix got you 20-some-odd points last week, his best outing of the season. But let's be clear, he struggles against good defenses. Against the Seattle, 138 yards, no touchdowns, 2 picks. Against the Steelers, he got 246 yards, no touchdowns, 2 picks. Only 60 yards with no touchdowns against the Jets. He struggles against good defenses, and the Chargers have a good defense. But to make things a little easier for you, there's much more upside with Rodgers. Rodgers is going ahead. He's going to throw the ball. They're going to be behind playing against Buffalo. So you're going to have a lot more upside with Rodgers. Rodgers will outscore Bo Nix. Go ahead and pick up Rodgers in that chat.
We agree.
Next, Chris, Baker Mayfield. Baker Mayfield's playing the New Orleans Saints, touch divisional game. Or he has Kirk Cousins, another divisional game against Carolina Panthers. So you got Baker Mayfield or Kirk Cousins. Who you got?
Why are you doing this to me?
Well, you love the NFC South.
Did you, a fan ask this question?
Yeah, this is the guys. Please email if you have any things here. I'll put it up again here. Any question here? If you have any questions regarding next week.
Look, at the end of the day, I can see how Kirk Cousins is now the new fab of the month because of what he did last week. Yeah, the new guy to look at because of what he did, what he did to the Bucks. And but look, guys, the person who has been most consistent between the two is Mayfield, and I expect that to continue against New Orleans. I know that the quarterback is the question mark here. I know that it's not going to be as high scoring. Johnny's probably going to tell you that, and I understand that.
How do you know that?
But ultimately, folks, I still expect Mayfield to do his part, which is going to be 2 or 3 touchdowns and over 250 yards. That to me is going to give you more points than the Falcons will this week. So give me Baker Mayfield to have more points than Kirk Cousins.
Both these quarterbacks are going to give you 20-plus points. But, yes, I do expect Kirk Cousins to give you 30
I thought I convinced you.
So main reason is that if Derek Carr was playing, I would say go with Baker because it's a shootout. It's going to go ahead. But this team is going to be a shell of themselves. It's not going to be the same team. It's just not. The same thing we saw what happened in Miami when their starting quarterback with Tua goes down. This offense has struggled. You're going to take away Derek Carr and put in a no-name, and somehow offensively they're going to go ahead and kill it. They're not. They're going to struggle. And since it doesn't have to be a shootout, Tampa's going to go ahead and run the ball more. Yes, you'll have some dump passes here and there, some screens, but ultimately, that's why he's going to get 20-plus points. But ultimately, I do see Carolina and the Falcons being an actual shootout. Now, it's going to be back and forth. This Andy Dalton-led Carolina team isn't the same team on the bright side. This offense scores points. So I expect them to continue to score points against the Falcons defense, back and forth. So 30-plus for me, I think, with Kirk Cousins, 20-plus.
You're going 30 points for Cousins.
I do.
Okay, so, and again, people I think are just so hung up on what happened last week, but I'll finish with this. I get it. Kirk Cousins has all his games are fourth quarter comebacks or overtime, so I understand that. You're not wrong. But look, at the end of the day, when you look at Baker Mayfield, you look at what he's done all season. This isn't just a one-hit wonder type of season. Cousins had 40-something points this week. Prior to that, Johnny, he was averaging 17 or less. So, again, you to sit here and say that he's not going to give you 30 points, I think that's a little irresponsible. I'm going to stick with Baker Mayfield. At the end of the day, folks, one thing that the Bucs haven't done this season, Johnny, is have an established running game. So to your point, you're like, oh, it's going to be a low-scoring game. We can't run the ball. He's going to be passing the ball. That's awesome.
Carolina does not have a very good run defense, so they are going to run the ball. But the issue with Tampa, it's the same issue they had last year. Tampa was 30th in rushing last year. Yeah. So there's always an issue with rushing. But
which means we're going to pass the ball.
Of course, they're a pass-first team, but they're going to run the ball more this game than they have any other game because of the defense they're playing. So at the end of the day, I still see, obviously, who's going to win this game. We're not talking about that. We're talking about who's going to score the most fantasy points.
Okay, we have been 100% with this, so that's what I'm asking. I'm not saying you're wrong,
well,
but I'm going to leave you with this. 13 points, 7 points, then 40 points with talking about Cousins, and now he's going to give you 30.
When it comes to fantasy, guys, it's about your opponent. So you're referencing those things here, who they play and what's happening here. So divisional game to where two teams who are pass first teams. So yes, it's going to be high scoring. It's going to go and give you the points. And I see Tampa handling New Orleans easily because of this card being there.
Why are you doing that to me? Why
are you
easily. Why are you jinxing
So that being
dude?
said, then Baker's not going to need to throw as much here. We hope you appreciate the show, guys. Please, if you're in the South, be careful. I mean, the storm should be right around there. So do whatever you got to do. Go ahead and download these episodes to watch them over and over and over again if you like.
Why not? Listen. Good sleeping material.
At the end of the, when you talk, yes. So, but at the end of the day, guys, we hope to entertain you guys. We hope you guys are safe.
Yes.
We will be back to record next week and see, which one of us is more correct than the other there. But we thank you for listening, guys. Again, be safe.
We're out.